All right, so I just started the recording. We were just talking about the structure of the EDU HUSTLE podcast.
Right.
Right now, what I have in front of me is a script, and we're going to do the intro episode. So it's kind of like episode 0, where it gives people a brief synopsis of the podcast, what we're going to be talking about. And right now, also kind of dissected the podcast in several ways. So me and you, Cedric, are going to have one-off discussions, right? Like one-on-one, you and me, where we're talking about several topics. We'll talk about EdTech, obviously, being that we're professionals in those space, education as a whole. But we'll also allow for interviewees, right, to come on and talk about their respective field, whether it be related to EdTech or education or any other thing, right, that educates, right? Because the basis of this show is to educate people who are in that day-to-day hustle, right? Want to learn different skills and opportunities to maximize their life and their income. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the basis of what we were just talking about and why we're recording this. And I don't know if you want to say anything else or.
No, I mean, I get it in terms of, just where we are right now, and kind of the emphasis. And I mean, honestly, like, I think one thing we got to lead into with this whole thing, Dennis, is like, what's the point? Like, why is this even important? You know what I mean? What benefit are other people going to get from listening and paying attention to what we have to say? I think that's going to be a big component of it. Outside of, the things that we offer, right, within our respective work and our brands and stuff like that. But because I think with the expertise and kind of segmenting certain things, I think that those pieces should actually play directly to benefit, right? Like, we want to try to make this as practical as possible. That's my big thing is, what can somebody take from what we just, said today and implement tomorrow? Like, the whole EdTech piece, like, we're definitely big on that, but, how does that play into things? And then, so thinking about those sectors, those one-off conversations, I mean, even, different components, like maybe kind of news-based, you know what I mean? Like, what's happening in the market, or, EdTech at large or whatever, just so people know, like, where the opportunity is.
Right. And that leads me to, like, what you just said is that having those clips that we're going to, put onto our platform, pages, websites, is that news piece, right? And I'm typing that down is, aside from the podcast, we'll be uploading discussions aside from, again, what we're talking about now. We'll do like little recordings, video recordings, and just give people information, even if it's not something that we've had a discussion about, again, in the podcast. Yeah. So I think it would be a good way to differentiate, like, the content.
Yeah.
And have, because, content is king, the more content, the better. And it will help with that consistency, right? Because if we have more content, then we can stay consistent and continuously push out content as we are ramping up, right? Aside from having, again, those discussions, whether it's just me and you, and then getting those interviewees that are interested in potentially, getting interviewed on the show.
Yeah.
So,
sure. And even considering, I think, no, I was saying even potentially considering too, like, feedback from listeners and anybody, I guess, within the space that we want to actually reach. Like, what are they looking for? Basically, how can we be of service, essentially, right? Like, somebody's interested in EdTech, for example, like, where do they start?
Right.
That might be a question that somebody might have, or, an educator running a side hustle or, you know what I mean, a business or trying to get started with something else. And then that can align to even the, the guests that we end up having, right? Like we have questions around this stuff, but I mean, nobody knows everything, right? You don't know what you don't know. So I think it'll be kind of incumbent upon us in this platform to make sure that for anything that we can directly answer or don't necessarily have the background or expertise in, we should be able to more so just kind of dig into resources and find somebody who does have that answer. You know what I mean? So it's not like we have to be just like being a teacher in the classroom. Like there's going to be some stuff that as a teacher that you don't actually know and you can't fake it and say, and act like you do know to the students. Like that's doing everybody a disservice. So just be honest and say, I don't know, but I can get you an answer.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like the great quote. I think Socrates said this is like, you can know everything but know nothing at all. Something similar to that. I know it's not the exact word for word, but
no, exactly.
It makes sense. So that's the basis of the show. We're gonna have those thought leaders on, talking about their respective fields, their hustles, and just give people inspiration, especially now more than ever with, we're kind of getting out of the pandemic, but you've seen a major boom of entrepreneurs, mainly teachers, transitioning out of the classroom, right, becoming entrepreneurs, or rather looking to transition into the corporate world. And I've seen that major boom in ed tech, obviously because educators are the users of those platforms and they have a better sense of how to navigate it from the ground up. So, yeah, excited for the show. And this is just like a draft. So we'll probably do this over again.
For sure.